Good evening, sports fans. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, sports fans across the world. My name is Siladija Aleboale, and it's the best sporting show in the whole of the universe. It's Newsinstanta Sport, of course, every on a band radio scope on our YouTube channel, and of course on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, anywhere else that you can listen to us. We are here to bring you all the best sporting news across the globe as it goes on the go. Sorry we could not be here last week. Right now, Olaya and I were just looking at the Celtics Timberwolves game, and a lot of analysis to be made, both in the NBA and of course in the UEFA Champions League, the Serie A, English Premier League, and of course the La Liga. Like I said, my name is Siladebo Adijari, still the best sporting show, and I'm here with Alawale. Alawale, I'll allow you to go ahead and introduce yourself to the fans at home.
Yeah, so good day, sporting fans, wherever you are around the world listening to this or watching this. Welcome to the show again. I don't know of recent international break seems to be like a dead. It's like that 1 week seems to be like a whole month. I don't know what causes it. It's so sad that everybody feel bad when it's time for international break, and it just creates some kind of negative feeling somehow that it just feel like why are we doing this. But again,
Yeah.
we like the Euro Cup, we like our World Cup, but we don't like the process of getting there. It's a bit strange. It's kind of a big strange of what do you call it, of feelings. But again, we're happy to be back. A lot to dissect, a lot to discuss. United new manager, still
The same old way.
the same old way or the same problem. City have lost 3 games so far this season, 5 consecutive in all competition, but surprisingly they are still second. We have to discuss that. A lot to dissect now, and there's Champions League midweek. There is NBA. We'll get into everything.
All right, perfect. But like I said, so Adeja Adebowale and this new system to sport. Well, of course, we're going to start off with the NBA, and of course, at the NBA, there's this what Yoruba would say in Kusinu. People are like, okay, what's really happening over here at the Philly? You know, Joel Embiid, he first came out to say that he wasn't going to be playing back to back games, and that felt like I don't understand. I really don't understand what that was all about. You get paid so much, and now they're coming out to say that on your behalf, fans pay for all these things, and this issue between Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid saying there's a snitch in their camp. You know, Paul George is there, and I think it's probably a mistake on Paul George's part going to Philly, and it's not a good one for them. They've had more losses than you can think of, you know, but when you don't have your superstar playing for you at the start of the season, you can't expect anything better. Realistically, right now on the table in the East, the depleted East that is not so good. They are 14 out of 15. Played 15 games, won 3 and lost 12. As a whooping 12. Let me put it out there, whooping 12. And honestly, there's no way, form of fashion that you want to look at it that you think, oh, it's looking good at the Phillies right now. Olale, what's up with that? This is expected if you ask me, especially with the discounters that came off. Joel Embiid saying he wasn't going to be playing back-to-back games in the NBA for the entire season. And Tyrese cannot do it. Paul George is injury prone himself. So there was literally no light at the end of the tunnel, even before the start of the season. Now seeing these fractions of fracas within the camp makes the crack even more alarming, or should I say, more worrisome. Olali.
Yeah. So for Philly, you just have to uh, have pity on their fan base because if you recall where around that 2015, 2014, 15, 16, when they were pretty bad in the league. They were finishing very low, and they keep getting all these draft assets. They got, what do you call it? They got Joel Embiid. And I think number 4. I can't remember the year. They got Ben Simmons. They got Macaulay Fields, who was the number one ahead of in a draft. What do you call it? In a draft year that had what the JC Tatum, and I
Yeah.
think what do you call, was it Lonzo Ball or something? Like
Yeah.
they've drafted three top guys in consecutive years, and they've really hoped for like what will come out first. Macaulay Fields just turned out to be a disaster. And this was a guy that was doing his college days. Everything was like you
All
cannot
the stars aligned.
question
Yeah.
you
The
you
stars.
cannot question the reason why he was drafted ahead of JC Tatum based on what he did at college. Now there is a Ben Simmons that I'm sure if his contract, if his current contract expires with the Brooklyn Nets, if he's going to play basketball again, I'm sure it's going to be somewhere in Thailand, Sri Lanka,
For Australia.
or
Go back home.
because it doesn't even look good. Like it doesn't even look like a G League player at the moment. There was a meme of him over the weekend where he couldn't even dunk a simple pass or something. So and now Joel Embiid, right from the time they, what do you call it, drafted Joel Embiid, I think he missed the first 2 years. I think the injury thing is not going away. But what I sense is, I think there is a bit of lack of effort or accountability on his own part, at least to alleviate or to do things that will probably um,
Keep it
reduce this
fit.
kind of
Yeah,
things,
the injury.
keeping
Yeah.
fit. And I think that's what do you call it? I'm sure that was the frustration on the part of Tarek Maxey, and they're very lucky to get Tarek Maxey because this was not a player that they were even expecting him to be what he is
This great.
currently. Imagine
Yeah.
if they don't have somebody like him, it could have been so. And with Paul George joining too, he has his own history of injuries, and it doesn't just look good for him too because we know what happened. What do you call it with the Clippers? How the whole pairing of him and what do you call it on and Kawhi Leonard, how it has gone so
Yeah.
far, and before
Yeah.
he even left. So it just seems that Philadelphia cannot catch a break. Like whatever it is, either with Joel Embiid or this, it seems all those years where they suffer terrible losses just to acquire these draft assets has does not turn out to be
Turn
anything
out
good
good.
than
Yeah.
what they have today. Because as it stands, like you said, 2-9 in the East is not
Two,
looking good at all.
three
At
to
all.
12. 3 to 12.
12, sorry. And for now, I don't really even know if they have, what do you call it, they all right into their draft pick this year. Because what this signifies is that they will likely, if they continue at this rate, that means they might go into lottery. So, and
Mm.
I don't know more, but I think that this coming NBA draft seems to have some kind of interesting um, assets there. So, but again, as it stands, it doesn't look good, and I think Philly has a lot of they have a lot of decision to make
Choice to make. Yeah.
from all end. Even on Joel Embiid, do they continue to build the team around him? Because basketball is actually a team sport, but if you are looking at a team sport that is close to being an individual sport in the sense that just if
The
your
superstar.
superstar out of it can make a very good team look a little bit ordinary, and that's basketball, and that's why it's a superstar driven is a star driven league, and so I don't know how much or how long will they continue to have
It
faith
makes
in
sense.
him,
Yeah. I
or
mean,
do
yeah.
they have to probably just
I
start all
think.
over again and
Yeah,
probably
I think at this point they should just start all over again and press the reset button. Because if your major superstar is injury prone, is not going to be available. The next possible star, uh, Paul George is not going to be available as well. Tyrese is the only. Just press reset and start all over again. Because Ben Simmons, like you said, is not a basketballer, quote and unquote. When it comes to
although that one is already in Brooklyn. I'm sure Brooklyn are just waiting for his
yeah,
contract to expire.
exactly. So it's not looking good. So at this point, I think it's just a restart button. Let's just reset and just move on. Build a team around Tyree. See if you can get one or two pieces. Imagine a Tyrese Maxey and they get a generational talent next. Maybe like someone like what's the name of this guy? Brandon or Chet. Chet is out in job, but someone in that phase to help them to help the team. Just be a playoff team for crying out loud. Philly is not the best in basketball. So if they become a playoff team for now, it still makes sense rather than this disaster that we're saying. Anyways, the Cavs started on a very high note, and you'd be like, okay, what's happening in the East? But the truth is, like we've seen in past years, in years to years, I think over the last couple of years, the East is does not does they don't you probably see just one team from the East, just one or two things from the East regularly. Okay, the Celtics are always going to be good, whether you like it or not. Even if they like, they should put their jersey on cows and the Rams. The Celtics are always going to be good, right? And probably you think of maybe I don't even know. Maybe 76ers, maybe Bucks, maybe Miami Heat, of course, in years to years, and the New York Knicks. But as it stands right now, apart from the Celtics, I don't see anything that strikes fair in me. Like, okay, this team is top notch. And I'm disappointed in the New York Knicks. I expected more from them, at least so far this season. But of course, it's still young in the season. You never can tell the way they will turn out across the season. But if you look at the West, everybody looks good in the West. Like everybody can beat anybody in the West. As it stands, the Golden State Warriors, they are not even fantastic at all. Okay, the OKC, of course, you expect them to be up there. Uh, the Rockets, Lakers that they are not supposed to be there. Lakers are there. Nuggets, Grizzlies, which personally I stand to be corrected, which I think is the best team in the West right now, are there. And you're still looking at the Mavericks, you're still looking at the Suns, Clippers maybe not so much, and San Antonio Spurs as well. And Minnesota Timberwolves are not doing they are doing poorly right now in 11th position in the West. So the West is stacked. I don't think Jamuna can come out and say I'm okay in the West this time around. What do you think? The discrepancy of the power play between the East and the West. How do you feel about it? How do you feel
So,
about it, Ali?
someone was saying, the San Antonio Spurs
Yeah.
presently, if they find themselves in the East, probably they will be number 4, number 5 seed. Like, if you remove the top 8 in the West, you see the 9, 10, 11, 12 team. If
Yeah.
you put them in the East, they are all playoff teams.
Yeah.
So I think this has been there for
The
so
norm.
long. It's not
Yeah.
something that started today, not
Yeah.
this decade. It's been there for over 2, 3 decades. The only thing the East have been probably blessed of is probably they've been very lucky with some generational talent in terms of drafting. You talk about Michael Jordan,
Michael.
LeBron James with Cleveland, and he played
Yeah.
in Miami.
Wade.
Uh,
Wade.
Wade and probably Giannis Adetokounmpo. I
Yeah.
think guys that literally just changed the face of a franchise. But
Mm-hmm.
if you cut down the West, beyond even drafting the so-called stars, the superstars, they've been very good at constructing better teams. And
Yeah.
although I don't know why this, so they've been this silent talk among the GMs in the West that they'll probably prefer the whole the whole conference thing to be collapsed. Like, let the top 16 teams on the table, the top 16 teams, the best 16 teams, the team with the best 16 records go into the
Go
playoff.
with
If
the
if,
playoffs.
if, if that means you have 9 or 10, what do you call it? 9 or 10, 12 teams from the
Then
West,
from
or
the
which I
West.
think for me is going to make a lot of sense. And
Oh wow. Wow.
which for me I think is going to make a lot of sense than what we see. At times, you don't just want, even in the playoffs, you probably don't
Yeah.
want to watch the Eastern Conference playoff probably until
Until the final. Or
probably
semi-final.
the conference finals. So
Yeah.
that's how bad it is. But again, of course, for that to happen, you need 24 out of the 30 teams to vote for that. And I'm not sure the Eastern
Okay.
Conference teams who are terribly bad, I'm not sure they're going to vote for
Yeah.
this. But one thing that might likely happen is this: the NBA might likely expand to 32 teams.
Yeah.
And there are rumors that Las Vegas and Seattle, if you recall, the what do you call it, the Oklahoma City Thunders were
Yeah.
formerly in Seattle
Yeah.
before. In fact, Kevin Durant was drafted by the Seattle Supersonics. It was
Mm-hmm.
after he played 1 year in Seattle before the team was now moved to OKC.
So okay,
So, so as it stands now, there are rumors that there is likelihood that they are going to add two more teams. Las Vegas is looking like a sure bet for one slot, and the second
yeah,
slot is looking like it might go back to Seattle because many people believe Seattle is a very good basketball city. So if that happens, it means those two teams will likely be in the West. Those two teams
yeah,
are going to they are surely going to be in the West, making I know each conference has to be 16. Uh,
yeah.
so so meaning the West as it stands we have 17. So one team from the West we have to move to the
To the
East
east.
to make it balanced. I think there are three teams people are that many people
Counting.
believe they will fight to get that slot. Minnesota Timberwolves, the Memphis Grizzlies. I've forgotten the other teams. I think those are the three teams that are probably within the central of the country. They are very close to
Mm-hmm.
both the east and the west. So one of them will likely, and people say there will be a lot of lobby. Could imagine the Minnesota Timberwolves finding themselves in the east now.
In the
Of
east,
course, they,
they are going to dominate.
they are sure of at least a conference final against what do you call it, the Boston Celtics.
Celtics.
So those are the interesting things. But I think the NBA will have to review that. True. They do the imbalance is just in fact it was because of that imbalance that what do you call it, the All-Star game, because there was, at a point in time the West keep winning all the All-Star games. That
All
was why
games.
they came up
Yeah,
with this idea of Team LeBron and team players like Team LeBron and Team
yeah.
whoever got more votes in
Kevin
the
Durant. Yeah,
just to see
yeah.
how they
So
can add a little bit of spice to it. So that's the
yeah,
situation of team the NBA for
Ali,
now.
so if they should do that right now, only three teams from the East will make top 16, and that's the Cavs, the Celtics, and Orlando Magic.
Exactly. That is
That's crazy.
that's a great imbalance. That's a great imbalance.
That's crazy. Anyways, let's go straight to the world of football. I don't mind us. We're still looking at the. Okay, right now it's 52-55 between the Timberwolves and the Celtics. Bridging like a 13 or 14 gap lead. Anyways, moving to football right now. We just look at a couple of games in the Champions League. A preview of a couple of games of the Champions League that happens on Tuesday. And Olali, I'm going to be hearing your thought on a couple of the games, selected games. Barcelona versus Brest. That is a game that would be interesting. Brest are so forth on the table right now. How do you feel it's going to happen? It's going to turn out. Barcelona last time out came out with a draw against Celta Vigo, and Brest has been excellent in the Champions League. How do you think it's going to pan out, Lali? Quickly.
So Brest is from which country, please? I've been trying to figure out that thing.
Yeah. I want to believe that for Switzerland.
Switzerland. So
Sorry.
um
Yeah.
uh, yeah, at the fantastic, I think they are within the first three or first four as it stands now. In fact, I've been struggling to keep touch with the present Champions League format. I didn't as much as it
Sorry, they're from
seems like
France. Sorry, they're from France.
they are from France.
Brest is from France.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
Because like so, the issue there with people with keeping in touch with this is this is probably as far as I in one way like the new format. I just think
Yeah.
it's kind of the fact that you will not play all the team on the what do you call it like you not play all the team seems to create some kind of fixtures imbalance.
Imbalance.
If you're on low, some if you look at the fixtures, some teams have better fixtures. But again, let's just look at this. I think Barcelona should easily win this. But I think there is one thing that Barcelona and Arsenal have in common this season. I think which they need to is the rate at which they get red cards. Barcelona, so I think this should be their fourth or this thing. And over the weekend, I am very sure the red card, although that should not be enough excuse, the red card really cost them that game. But I think they should win this. And for Brest, I think even though they lose this, I think they will still have enough to make it. They might
To
not
make the
probably finish in
playoff.
the. They might not finish in the first eight. I think they
Yeah.
are going to be
Yeah.
uh, uh, in the top 16. And I think Barcelona will probably want to be in the top 8
Okay.
as it stands now because I think it's game 5. We played 4 games already.
yeah,
If
yeah,
it's couple of teams a lot of teams are struggling. Real Madrid, they are struggling. I'm not. I think
yeah,
presently they are not even in the top 16 as things stands now.
yeah,
As things stands now, and they have a very difficult game against Liverpool coming up. So
yeah. Bayern is
I,
number
I think
17. So
yeah. So I think Barcelona will probably just want to solidify their. I think they've been playing fantastically well this season. I think they have many options. If they just sort out their irrational records that they've just been collecting up and down now, I think they will be fine. I
and
expect them
and,
to
and
win this game.
the most unlucky team in terms of fixtures, I think Barcelona will win as well. I'll say it's going to be a 3-0, 3 victory for Barcelona. Easy peasy for them, as far as I'm concerned. And to the most unlucky team in the Champions League in terms of fixtures, PSG. They've been unlucky in this Champions League with the games that they've been given. They played Arsenal. They played a lot of tough teams so far. In the
I'm not
Champions, they
even
played
sure they're going
Barcelona
to make
as
the
well.
top 30. As it stands, I'm not even sure they're going to make the
Yeah,
top 32.
and their next game is going to be against Bayern Munich at the Munich
Wow.
Stadium. Yeah,
Wow. So
so it's
they
not
played
looking good.
Arsenal, they've played Atletico Madrid,
Yeah,
they've played
yep.
which other team?
They play Barcelona. They play Barcelona as well.
They played
They play
Barcelona,
Barcelona as well.
they played
Yeah, they
Atletico
play Barcelona
Madrid,
as well. So yeah, yeah.
Arsenal,
So
and they are still
it's
playing
not,
Bayern.
yeah, Bayern, yeah. So
So that's my problem with the thing.
it's
I
not been
think
a good one for them. Yeah.
it's not been a good one, and I think the
They
fixture
play
seems to be
they
as
play
much as UEFA.
Against PSV. Mm-hmm.
Okay, as much as
Go
UEFA
ahead,
have
Obama.
probably tried to make it, but it seems some teams have pretty much more difficult fixtures than some others, and that might be some teams finding themselves in a wrong seeding. What do you call it? Group. So I
Good.
think I don't see PSG making the knockout stage. I stand to be corrected. I think the team from ninth to 16 they will
Yeah,
play team from they will play team from 17 to is it 24. I don't know if that is a correct position
position. Yeah,
to
I want to believe
determine
so. Yeah,
to
to
determine the
determine
16 teams that
what.
will now be in the second round,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that will be
yeah,
in the round of 16.
yeah.
So at
Exactly.
worst case scenario for every team you have to be in the top 24. That's the worst case scenario for you.
Yeah. Um, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 16. Yeah, yeah. From 9 to 24th, I'm gonna they're going to struggle it out for the
For eight
day of the
slots in the
yeah,
for 8 slots in the round of
round of 16.
16.
Exactly.
Oh, so the goal have to be you have to be in the top 24. But if you want to avoid
Exactly.
that clash between ninth and between the
First,
among the ninth
first
and
and eight.
24th team,
Yeah.
you have to be in the first eight.
Top eight. Yeah.
Okay.
PSG still have a very good chance of still qualifying. There are 4 points. Even if they can get a draw against Bayern and other fixture favors them, they still have an outside chance of going through. So what's your opinion about this game? What do you think is going to happen to this one?
For PSG and who is
As
PSG playing?
Bayern Munich,
Bayern.
I'll say
Are they playing at
I'll
home
say
or away?
away from home.
No, no, no. I think Bayern will beat them. I think Bayern has been good. It's just that I think their coach just need to learn. I think there is this arrogance about him, about this. You just have to attack. We just have to press. You just have to be this. I think, oh yes, it's good to have that, but you just have to understand that there are times where you just have to do some things a little bit different.
Differently.
It's football shouldn't just be one way. I think beyond the coaching deficit, which probably might come later on with experience for him. I think Bayern Munich should do this. Talent wise, I think PSG is not that just the same as they were some couple of years ago. Now they just look like yes, decent team. They have some good players,
Good
but the
players.
eras of those superstars
Was gone.
has come to an end, and I don't think.
I,
Unfortunately, they've not.
I,
Unfortunately, this year the fixtures have not been too nice to them in the
favorable
Champions
to
League.
them. Yeah, yeah.
I, I don't.
I think. Yeah. So, what do you think the scoreline will be?
I would say 3-1 Bayern.
3-1 Bayern. I'll say 1-1 draw, 2-2 draw between PSG and Bayern.
I,
To a not too good one, it's going to be Arsenal traveling away to Portugal. Amorim is out. He's now the coach of Manchester United. So Arsenal might be, but they are facing the hottest striker in the whole of the universe right now. Um, in
Victor Gokares.
Victor
Gokares.
Gokares, it's going to be a difficult one for Arsenal. How do you think it's going to pan out for Arsenal?
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. I think it's going to be a big test because, unfortunately, a lot of people have mocked Arsenal for some certain things. I don't think I've not been able to have my full judgment about this Arsenal team. We need to understand how difficult it is to play with one man down, especially for a longer stretch in games. A lot of people still trying to refer to their game or against City like they had to pack the balls against Brighton that they were bad in the second half, and all these were after that red card, even against Bournemouth too. So I've not been really,
Mhm.
and with the injuries they've had, I've not been really able to make any assessment. But this will be a big test in the sense that they've not that all their players is they are fit. White is injured, of course. There are enough what do you call players to cover for White. I'm sure Simba will start from that right side.
Right side, yeah.
I think they have the full complement of their players from the midfield to attack with them, uh, uh, which means there shouldn't be any excuse in terms of okay we couldn't do this. This is what they could present at any point in time in midfield
Mm-hmm.
and attack. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think what do you call it? Sporting is going to be a very forget the fact that Ruben Almiron has left. I'm
Yeah.
sure the other
Probably
coach that
so.
is taking over. I'm sure is somebody that understands the system. Yeah, there won't be more changes for now. Still stands for now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't
So
foresee much problem.
Y- so what's your view of this? What do you think the scoreline is going to be for this one?
I think Arsenal should come out victorious in this. I think they should be able to win this convincing. It will be very hard. It will be very tough. But I just think Arsenal should be able to come out because they also need this victory to put themselves in position to qualify conveniently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. True that. For me as well, I think with Martin Odegaard back, I think Arsenal probably would win with this one, depending on the approach that Mikel Arteta decides to take on this one. I'll say 1-0, 2-0 victory for this one. And as it stands, I think Arsenal should stop using Kai Havertz as their striker in games. The game that Arsenal played over the weekend shows difference in approach that they would have without a defensive striker. Kai Havertz is a defensive striker, and it gives you a kind of thinking when you start with Kai Havertz. We'll talk about that when we get to uh, more comprehensively into the English Premier League. Manchester City, they've lost 5 in a row. Alari is saying there's no alarm bell. There's a lot of alarm bells, and they are facing um, Feyenoord at home at the Etihad. Definitely, I think they should win this. Although I'll be selling out Ireland in my team, I don't want him in my team again. I'll probably definitely don't want him in my team. Probably go for another striker from within. But what do you think of this? Do you think they're going to win this one as well?
I think they should. I think they should be able to stop the bleed. This time around, I think they should be able to get victory. Converse a little bit down. I think this game is probably coming about the right time for
Right
them,
time.
at
Yeah.
least to get some kind of confidence back. I think, but again, they need to be very cautious. Fenord looks so far this season. They've looked very very dangerous. It's
So,
so, but I still think City should have enough in their destiny. They have a full complement. I think Kevin De Bruyne is back. I think Guardiola should be able to. For me, I think it's just a matter of going back to status quo. Guys that you can trust, guys that they've been here before, they've done this. I think that gives him less to talk, as in less to tinker with,
Well, yeah.
less of a tactical. They just go back to those trusted legs
To the
and
basics. Yeah.
yeah, just go back to the basics, and from there you can build up to whatever you want to do. But I think City should
Yeah.
win this.
All right.
Probably
I
probably 2 to 3-0.
2-3. Yeah. I'm gonna say Alan anyways. Um, whatever it is. Homecoming for Douglas Lewis as Aston Villa hosts Juventus at home. This is going to be a dicey one for Juventus. Aston Villa, we know they have a tactical coach. They have a couple of players that can hurt you on their day. So it's going to be a dicey one and entertaining one as well. Juventus, they've been stretched so much in Europe to start with, so it's not like they're not going to concede. So I personally I see a draw coming out of this. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be a victory for Villa against Juve, or Juve might nick it away from home?
Well, it's a fixture that you've seen it, that you, as in draw is just written all over it. Juventus have not been spectacular themselves. I think they've drew 3 of their 4 games so far in the
Mm-hmm.
competition this year.
Yeah,
They've drew 2. I think they've lost one.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
They lost a lot. Yeah.
they lost one, 2 draws, 1 win. Not too spectacular. And Aston Villa too have not been too fantastic. They lost I think 4 consecutive games before this weekend draw in the league. I think was it home or at home to Crystal Palace. They seems to be a bit of out of form as a start as it, but and like you rightly said, they have the tactical coach, and this game will probably be one of those games that he just want to use to steady the ship a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Juventus, it just might be. I'll probably just go for a draw here too. I think it's the safest thing to do. You know,
Yeah.
it's the safest thing to do. I don't think they can win away as Juventus, but I think they have enough to frustrate Juventus and get away with a draw.
Draw. To the game of the week, which is going to be Liverpool against Real Madrid. Real Madrid is Real Madrid. They are the champions of Europe. They are probably the best team in Europe as well. And Liverpool are the informed team in Europe. As it stands, Liverpool are not they've not been spectacular, but they've been very effective. Uh, I see a very interesting tie here between Liverpool and Real Madrid, and of course it's at Anfield. Man, nobody wants to go to Anfield. That's the truth. Even if you are aliens and you want to play soccer, you don't want to go to Anfield. You prefer to go to any other stadium in this world other than Anfield. I think Real Madrid, Real Madrid would be lucky to get a draw at Liverpool. What did you think?
So for Real Madrid this season, I think the talk has always been about the balance in the squad, which for me it's not a surprise thing. We all expected this, and we all saw this coming. Knowing the fact that what do you call it? And like I always joke about that. If there's any man you want, as in you want in a team to solve a imbalanced team, it has to be Carlo
So
Ancelotti. Of
yeah,
course, like I rightly said, they are going to find it. It will probably take a little bit of time. Uh, they've not been doing well too in this thing. This is a very big test for them. But again, it's Real Madrid is Real Madrid, and considering the fact that they've not been performing well in the Champions League, um, I will not be surprised if they sneak a victory at Anfield. I will not be surprised at all
mm,
because I just think when it mattered most, you just feel like every other team will just there is a way
fall in place.
things just work as they fall into places for Real Madrid. Not
Yeah,
sometimes it's just go excuse me. It
yeah.
just go beyond what they could do in the ninth. They might just be brilliant for that 15 minutes, and that 15 minutes might just be enough for them to win the game. I think this I will go for a Real Madrid win on the road.
Oh wow. That's interesting. Anyways, that is for Champions League. We'll go into the league right now. Barcelona played a 2-2 draw against Celta Vigo after collecting a red card and Celta Vigo scoring within a couple of minutes to draw the game against Barca 2-0, having raced into a two-goal lead thanks to Rafael and Lewandowski that cannot stop scoring right now. And of course, Atletico Madrid defeated Deportivo Alaves 2-1 at home as well. Real Madrid defeated against 3-0. Federico Valverde, Kylian Mbappe amongst the goal scorer on the night. Um, Now Real Madrid are just 1 point off Barcelona. Barcelona were like the champions and champions in the making a couple of weeks ago, but now things have turned around all over again. It's getting interesting in the La Liga right now. How do you think Real Madrid fans should be feeling? Because realistically, a couple of weeks ago, I think like 2 weeks ago, there were these whispers across Europe like, oh, Casadei is going to be sacked. Is possibly going to be sacked at Real Madrid because he's not getting the best out of the attack. And Casadei actually came out to say, see, this trouble is not from the attack. The attackers are actually scoring goals. The problem right now is the defense, where we have so many injuries, so many guys out injured. Eddie Militao with another ACL. David Alaba, I can't remember the last time he played for Real Madrid. So they've had so many injuries at the back, and but the focal point of the press and the fans, which has been overblown, is the attack. Oh, Kylian Mbappe wants to play on the left. Vinicius Junior wants to play on the left. How are they going to do play Rodrigo? But the truth is, the defense itself, so many players are out injured. But if you were a Real Madrid fan, like, how would you feel about the chances of Real Madrid going down the wire and pulling the strings of good results together to compete actively for the La Liga?
Well, I think for me, of course, they will always be there. Get going into the season, they were the favorites. Of course, nobody was even expecting Barca to start
To
the
pull
season
it.
the way they've done so far. Um, and for me, I think Barcelona lost momentum. For me, that when you are in a league, what you want to do in a league is you want to discourage your, what do you call
So
it, your opponents.
Before you continue, sorry, if they win their outstanding against Valencia, that's when they
they
will be
are,
one
they are going
point.
to go on. Okay, that's why they'll be 1 point. Abi.
1 point,
Okay.
yes.
Even at that, I think they should feel good. I think Barcelona missed something. They ought to have built on that momentum. The loss against Sociedad was bad. This draw was probably more terrible, considering the fact that they were 2-0 up. They got the red card. Then Joan Kunde now made a mistake that led to the first goal just few minutes later, and they considered another one. For Real Madrid, of course, they are right back in it. Even if they don't win the outstanding, 4 points is not still a big deal at this, what do you call it, at this stage of the league. I don't agree with Ancelotti about that. The defense is an issue. I think they had this similar problem with defense last season. I think I think it's just being smart, trying to deflate uh, what do you call it, the attention away
The issue, yeah.
from his striker, because whatever imbalance he thinks he's having from the defense is probably caused by the personnel in attack, which he is playing. So it's giving the team a lot of imbalance in terms of the choice of players that are playing. And secondly is I think they are actually missing the retirement of Tony Cruz, and also Luka Modric is not getting younger. All the young guys they have in midfield today, as good as they are in terms of a lot of energy, a lot of this and that, but when it comes to controlling games, when it comes to when when you need to be in control, when you say controlling game, there are times that you just don't want your opponent to have the ball. You want your destiny to be in your hand. I
Uh-huh.
think none of these guys have shown that, what do you call it, maturity, skills, or the skill set to be that guy to be able to control the game. I think that is the two major issues Real Madrid are facing for now. But again, they are in a good place. I think Barcelona has done them a big favor by picking just
by picking points. Yeah.
1 point in their last two games. So let's see how it piles out. But yeah, they have to be confident about their chances.
Game on Real Madrid. Game on Real Madrid. Welcome Morocco Kachi.
Thank
Game
you
on
so
Real
much.
Madrid.
Yeah.
Olale is trying to put pressure back on the attack. I don't agree with that, honestly. For me, these are a bunch of professionals. Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, being the headline. Those are the major culprits. Rodrigo will play wherever they want him to play. The boy is sound enough and sensible enough to play whatever they ask him to play. But Olale is trying to pull back
Okay,
that.
Devon,
I
see, no,
feel
no, no,
I
no,
feel.
no,
Hold
Devon,
on, hold on. I have a question. I feel personally these guys wants to play on the left, right? Mbappe wants to play on the left. Vini is better on the left, and there's a simple solution. And I'm going to ask you guys, if they put down Mbappe and Vini, who do you think is going to score you 50 goals? Vini or Mbappe in all
mm,
competitions?
okay, now in
No,
terms of
no,
all conditions,
you don't answer my
wait now.
question. All competition,
I'll
yeah. Who
answer
do you
it.
think is
Wait
going to get
now.
you 50 goals?
I saw your. I know where you're coming from because I've seen this. Your sorry, as in I saw something like this. You posted on the WhatsApp. Uh, Mbappe will get you more goals, but I think the bigger question that we should ask is this: now, who Vinicius will get you 20 something goals. It can get 20 something goals, but I think the bigger question is this: because if you want to go by that okay, if you think Mbappe will score more than Vinicius,
Vini.
then Vinicius should be the one to sacrifice his game. I don't think that is how you get the best out of this.
No,
I think the
I'm
close.
not saying
No, no,
sacrifice.
no,
I'm not saying sacrifice his game. Go to the right hand side. Very simple.
no. It can't go to the right hand because you are going to get, what do you call it? You can't get the best out of him on the right hand side.
Why
What
not?
we have a lot of players now. What we see, most players are being developed now to be inverted. There are fewer players who could do whatever they are doing. They are doing on their inverted side of the wing, on the other side, as in on their main on their main on the other side of the wing. There are very few players. Take Saka away from the from the right hand side of Arsenal attack and take him to the left, it becomes ineffective, and that's
I
one of
don't
my
I,
problem
I,
with.
I don't I don't think so because I can't sign as a left
If
fullback,
no,
left
it
fullback
started
for
as a left
Arsenal
back.
and a left
But
wing and left
just
wing
try
sorry
wait
for
now.
Arsenal.
Just tell this guy to try it, and you see how on. If I'm telling you, I've seen this. Most wingers you have today, they are not natural dribblers. They are just trained to take advantage because they play very close to the box, and sometimes invertedly, it's easier for you to shoot to both sides of of the post. So most of them, as much as Vinicius, what you call it, is a very skillful winger, like
Yeah.
like he is. I'm sure it will be less efficient and less effective play on the right. This is my
Rodrigo,
own take.
Rodrigo
Among
does
the
it all
two,
the time.
wait, between the two of them,
Uh-huh.
who is whose game is probably closer to play as a number nine? Like, forget
Mbappe.
about the fact that Mbappe is
Mbappe,
Mbappe. I,
yeah. Mbappe
and this,
is
even the Mbappe we are talking about, he has played on the right before. He has played a lot of his game. What do you call it? Central in central position.
in central
When they had
position, yeah.
Neymar and even and Messi at, what do you call it, at PSG, he plays through the middle. It's not for me, and that's why when you say you don't think it's an ego thing, I think it's an ego thing. Of course, he has more freedom on that left, and there is this thing that comes with that, like, okay, I should not be the one to be sacrificed for you. So I think there's some ego element in this, but I still think for the, what do you call it, for the benefit of the team, and even by default, if Partey playing on the left, I don't think it's something that he will play. What do you call it? It will last there forever. Is, I think his game naturally is built to meta, as in to
To metamorphose into
metamorphose
a central
into being a
position.
central striker. Just like you had with the Sergio Ramos of this world and Puyo, even though they started as right back, you could see in their game that these two guys are actually built to be central defenders, and just like Joseph Yobo. So the same thing with Kylian Mbappe. If just like Thierry Henry started as a winger on the right, but you could see with his pace, his eye for goal, you just know that at a point in time, this guy will play probably more in a central position, which was what.
Anyways,
I think Mbappe should embrace that and just focus. He will score goals there, which I think is the most important thing for him as a striker, rather than
yeah,
hugging by the
yeah,
line
yeah, yeah,
with another
yeah.
player.
For me personally, I don't agree with you, but I want to hear Oracle Kachi's opinion about it.
Um, Thanks, Debo, and thanks everyone for having me. Even though I came in a bit slightly later than usual. To answer the two-pronged question you asked, Debo, I agree to an extent that Mbappe is likely to get you more goals because he just has a natural inclination and is more clinical in front of the goalpost. Okay, however, I while I think Mbappe should be the one to make the sacrifices. I do not think it's an ego thing. Um, I think it's an understanding thing by Mbappe. I think there's a lack of maturity in his game and even how he approaches the game. Mbappe, for the bulk of his career, has been the darling of every single club he has played for. Now, for the first time in his career, he is playing for a club that is bigger than him, and he has struggled to come to terms with that. You could argue that he was probably the biggest diamond among all the diamonds in the French national team, such that that's why he could publicly criticize his midfield in the absence of a Paul Pogba
Oh, yeah.
by saying Pogba knows where I will be. So that means he wants, and I want to cast your mind back to an analysis Thierry Henry made when he
Yeah,
was an assistant coach,
yeah.
where he said Wenger called him and said, and I think that's where Mbappe needs to get to. He now needs
Mm,
to get to a point where he starts asking the question,
the right
what are the
questions
qualities of the people I am
around you
playing with? Rather than saying, this is how I play, everybody should
to
adjust to
adapt to
my
me.
style. And so yes, Olawale called it ego. I call it maturing. I think he needs to step his game beyond the point where he demands everyone to adjust to him and adjust to the fact that he's playing with probably people with similar or even slightly better qualities than he has currently. Um, we saw how Ronaldo evolved his game. We saw Messi even evolve his game. Olawale mentioned Sergio Aguero, he mentioned Puyol, mentioned Busquets. People who looked around themselves and said, okay, to continue to be relevant, I have to change rather than the club change for me. So I think right now, the possibility of him changing for me remains the best option. We saw it with the BBC. It was a very fluid three. Where they start was not where they finished. We saw it with MSN. Also a very fluid front three. Where they started was not where they finished. We saw it with Carlos Tevez, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Wayne Rooney. Where they start is not where they finish. These
Mm.
are all players understanding that I may have a preferred position.
Just
However,
just be professional about it.
exactly for the purpose of my team, for how do I make my team better? Uh, and I think that's where Mbappe needs to get to. Ultimately, I think on the left hand side, one on one v one direct um, individual battle with players on that left wing, I think I would urge it in favor of
Mm.
Vinicius right now. But for Vinicius, finishing is an added bonus. But beating your man on that flank and casting and drawing attention to free up your number nine is his primary goal because he is dangerous. If you let him be, he's going to get a goal. But if he beats you in and he can open up space for his number nine. But Mbappe right now is not making the runs that we need him to.
Yeah,
He's not.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
not
It's
making
not.
the runs. So
It's
for
not me.
me,
Sorry, Kachi. Sorry,
yeah,
I just want to bring in something. I was watching CBS Sports, last Champions League game of Real Madrid, and Thierry Henry was actually showing. Henry, of course, is a striker, so he has,
yeah,
and Henry is brain, is cerebral, so he
yeah.
has the brain, and he was showing the number of runs Mbappe was supposed to be making as a number nine
Mm-hmm,
centrally.
mm-hmm,
And when Olale, I hope you are listening to me. And when
Yes.
Kylian Mbappe was not making that run, the body now shifted to Jude Bellingham to make those runs
mm-hmm,
into spaces where Kylian Mbappe was supposed to be in. So
mm-hmm.
it makes it more difficult. And like you said, and Lawale said, it could be an ego thing, it could be a maturity thing. But if you are professional about it,
Yeah.
if you are passionate about this thing could work. I see it as a simple problem that they
I
should
think it will
just,
still work.
yeah, I think it's just a
No, no,
simple
no.
thing
It's
that
going to work. I
they
think
should
it's
be
going
they
to
should be
work
mature
because
about.
I think they have the right manager to make it work. I just think, of course, I think this initial dragging should be expected.
Yeah.
I think I'm just a bit surprised the way most people see it as like if people's. I think people were not expecting this. Which like if you are very conversant with superstars playing with themselves, or when you see two players probably uh, I think they should count themselves lucky that they have Carlo Ancelotti at this point in time because I think it could have been probably a bigger disaster. We've seen it in the past when what do you call it? Florentino Perez will make some signings because if you want to look at the team itself, like does the team actually need a Mbappe or they need somebody who could play as a number nine? You say probably as a number nine, but again, who is the best player available in the market? Is Kylian Mbappe. Go for the best player,
Mm-hmm.
then
Yeah, you
figure
go for
out
the best player.
figure out how they are going to work together. Leave that one for the coach to do. So, which I think
Yeah.
that was what probably what they did. I
And this is a question to both you and Kachi. I think the biggest problem that I've seen personally for Real Madrid, and Olale pointed it out, is Toni Kroos. Honestly, someone so cerebral that can play in front of the defense. Trameli cannot play that role successfully.
Mm-hmm.
Kamavinga is not disciplined enough to play to play that role. Valverde cannot play that role. And I'm looking at it like, who and they want to play that way? Is called the register, right? The register role, right? That's the name of the role. The
Mm-hmm.
register role. And they don't have a player that can play that role. I don't think if you guys agree with me, I see that as a more problem. And the fact that the most creative player they have in their team is an old guy that cannot play 90 minutes back to back.
Debo, if I chip in there, the Tony Cruz issue for me is just us stating the obvious. Not a lot of people derive joy in being the water carrier for any team.
Kachi, Kachi, your sound is a little bit static.
Okay.
Okay,
Let me know if it's better now.
no.
Not a lot of just. Let me know if it sounds better. If I don't, then Debo can take it over. Any better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better now.
Okay. What I was trying to say is not a lot of players derive joy from being water carriers for their team. The Tony Cruz rule, let's say before they even got Tony Cruz, let's not forget that after my man Makalele left, Real Madrid was in the wilderness because Madrid has always thrived when they had a player in the mold of Toni Kroos, from Ivan Elguera to Makalele. You see that they need to have someone who doesn't.
They had a Xabi Alonso.
They had a Xabi Alonso as well. That team needs someone who doesn't like the glory to make their front three always work. It has always been the issue for Madrid. And when they don't have that, they enter their wilderness season. I still personally think that they will get it right in the front three. I totally think so. However, all these other guys you mentioned, from Camavinga to Valverde, they also need to grow and evolve. You can't, because you had the security of Tony Cruz, play one way and you want to continue to play that same way even in the absence of your critically your best player in the last 10 years. Forget the goals from of Ronaldo or whatever. Tony Cruz was probably their strongest linchpin. I think they have the personnel. They have invested in youth in that middle. The triumvirate of Kamavinga,
Federico Valverde and Chouameni.
Valverde and Chouameni, one of them, they have to have that discussion, and that is where I think maturing comes in. They should be willing to have that tough discussion. Someone in the front three, for instance, has to say, "I want to be the Benzema of this team. Bide my time until it is my turn." The same way someone in that middle three has to say, "Okay, I have to be the Toni Kroos. I have to be the
But
Casemiro."
they are not cerebral. That's the point. You
No,
can't
no,
give
no,
what
no,
you
no.
don't
They
have.
are,
No,
they are, those are those
so
are multiple
no, I think
champions
this
league
is where the problem is from. And this is what we need to get right now. Now, even the issue now, if you look at the formation, if you look at what do you call it? At the beginning, at the time, at the point in time in the season when they were playing two up front. You see, the thing
winners.
is, um, sometimes I've always said, they have very good players to play in the midfield, but
Yeah.
you don't have anybody to play like Tony Cruz or you play like
Yes.
Modric. Then what do?
Yes.
You play to the strength of the players you have,
Of
and
the
I think that
team,
was the reason
exactly.
why. I think that was the reason why he adopted more of a diamond formation at the beginning of the season. Now, this is where the diamond formation comes in. This is the problem. It brings a problem. That means diamond formation requires both Kylian Mbappe, not even one now. It requires both of them, Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Junior, to play
Mm-hmm.
more through the middle.
Complementary.
More
Complementary.
through the
Just
middle.
complement
It's
each
not
other.
even one
Yeah.
of them now. It's not even one of them because with the diamond formation, you are eliminating the wing play completely. You
Yeah.
understand?
Mm-hmm.
You are eliminating the wing play.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you might have one or two players drifting to the flank one or few occasions, but that should not be your primary position. Your primary position should be more of a central area. So those are the dilemma, and that's why I think so. But if you play a more of a 4-3-3, a 4-3-3 system will require probably somebody who plays who has somebody who is let me say a press resistance in probably in a Luka Modric or Tony Cruz. That is where they are missing them. Those 4-3-3 could bring the best out of the front three, but it leaves that midfield with that player with that maturity, with that player who have what do you call it? Who has this obsession for passes, controlling,
Mm-hmm.
and all
Mm-hmm.
these things. So
Control
it's a
basically.
control. So basically now is now between which one do we stick with? Do we stick with the
Yeah.
diamond formation that get the best out of the midfield, but that see our two forward guys not doing
Struggling.
what is required of them, still seeing themselves playing in probably in a flank position in a 4-3-3 position formation, or we go to a 4-3-3 where these guys actually get into their most preferred mode, but again, leaves us a bit vulnerable in midfield. So I think over time, of course, they will adjust to this. I think the best way to go is still going to be a diamond formation because it will be very hard for you to get somebody to play like Tony Cruz or to get somebody to
Yeah.
play like Luka Modric.
To round it up on my own side, this is what I would say: that in the words of Coach Prime Dion Sanders, if you are going to get Real Madrid, get them now. Olawale pointed to a big fact, and that is that the single biggest piece they need is the piece of Don Carlo. Ultimately, Madrid will get it right as long as they don't put Don Carlo under that crazy pressure of saying Santiago Solari will be a makeshift replacement. Get Madrid now if you can. And this is a message to Atletico and to Barcelona. And that's why I was so surprised to see Barcelona drop points consecutively. Because when Madrid, especially the front three, when they get it right, their dynasty in Europe will continue.
All right, perfect. It does not stop their dynasty, and you know why I said it does not stop their dynasty. I was listening to our show, I think from 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and I think we were five. Yourself, Kachi, Olawale, Olayinka, and Shei. We agreed that Real Madrid were in a rebuilding mode,
Mhm.
and within those years, I think they've won the Champions League twice. So I don't think it's gonna. I don't. That's experience, right?
So much for rebuilding.
Exactly. So much for rebuilding. So I don't think they are rebuilding it. I think they will still win something because you UEFA Champions League is their DNA. Winning trophies is their DNA.
Mhm.
Just the same way you will not find a DNA of teams like Arsenal and which are
And
known as
Spurs.
and
And
Spurs.
Spurs.
Exactly. No, my friend, don't compare Arsenal with Spurs, please. Anyways, going to a more interesting one. Liverpool came back from 2-1 goals, 2-1 down to defeat Southampton 3-2 on the night, thanks to a late Mo Salah penalty, to stay afloat and keep at the top of the table. But interesting thing is, Man City is losing every weekend, while they are still second. They are losing
Is an
every.
indictment
They
on
are losing.
Arsenal now. Is an
They are, they
indictment on
are,
your team.
Yeah.
they are,
Arsenal dropped
Olale,
10
Olale,
points in
I
the
don't know how
last
many
4
times I have
games.
to tell you. I'm not an Arsenal fan. Please.
Okay, oh. Okay, oh. Kachi, are you buying that?
No, of course. I know when somebody is trying to sell me snake oil. I know this one is a dyed in the wool Arsenal fan.
Ah,
So I'm not buying that. Yes, it's a full reflection of how much Arsenal has struggled, and it's not a surprise as this has coincided with the absence of Martin Odegaard. Um, Dropping at least before their game over the weekend, their last 4 games they dropped 10 points, which would have probably kept them, if not at pace with Liverpool, but or slightly ahead of them. I know you have a question for us, especially concerning Liverpool or even City. But let me put it out there that Liverpool right now will be licking their chops and they can't wait to face City right now.
Olale, the question is what is happening in the city? What is happening with City? That's my question. What's happening
so
with City?
so so couple of things. You see, when a team goes through this kind of struggle, you can't pin it down to one thing. But again, at times some things probably just work in your favor just to do some things. For Rodri, whatever question people have about his Ballon d'Or winning, what do you call it? I think this is just trying to
The
make
answer to
more
it.
case, like a justification for it. Like, okay, if you think this guy doesn't score goals, if you think this guy cannot win team, what do you call it? Games on his own. There you have it. He's not in the same, and they are struggling. But again, that's not the only thing. I think this is it. This is the thing. Number one, um, it is hard if you have probably been in the midst of former guys who have played in teams that have won championship. One of the things that is very hard to do is to get as to keep yourself motivated. Winning a championship this year and repeating it next year is probably one of, especially in a league run that you have to play 38 games. At least
Mm-hmm.
knockout competition, you can find your way. Okay, let's just find a way of qualifying. Then we know how to pick our games
Our
one after
spots.
the other. But
Mm-hmm.
in league, in the league is not like that. You just have to bring that A game. You just have to stay motivated. And that was why people will tell you, Sir Alex might not be the greatest statistician, but what he is a great motivator. He just has a way of getting the best out of players, like getting them staying motivated. And that's what league is all about. As much as it's about talent, it's probably much about what do you call it, staying motivated. So for City, the record we've had in the Premier League before now is teams winning it 3 times. I think United did it twice. They did it in 2000 and
Yeah,
1999,
1999.
2000, 2001, and I think they did it in 2007, 8, and 9. But City have gone a step ahead to win it 4 times consecutively. Even last year
Yes.
when they won, you could see that fatigue setting, that mental fatigue. But again, Arsenal left the door open for City, and of course, what do champions? What you don't do is giving champions. You don't want them to sniff that top position when it matters. That's what happened. So This year, I think is because I predicted this fatigue last season. I think nobody took advantage of it. I think that fatigue has extended into this season. That not alone, not the fatigue alone that is a problem.
They should have had this fatigue last season, not this season.
Now again, adding to it is this: if you watch that game yesterday, Spurs played what you could call a complete football for like 60, 70 minutes. Now, City had their chances earlier on, which they couldn't convert. Uh, but one thing I observed beyond the goals is this: Spurs' ability to beat City's press yesterday in that game yesterday was just very obvious on multiple occasions. This was not a case of counter attacking that okay, City lost possession and
Yeah,
Spurs now counter them with that. No, Spurs played out from the back
Mm-hmm.
and City pressing them, and they found their way on multiple occasions to
to
beat
break the
City
pressure.
press and create quality chances for them. I think that is another thing that I think Pep Guardiola will have to sort out. That means there is a structural issue with that team. A Rodri not being there could be part of it. Probably the players not in sync about okay what and what to do at the point in time is another thing entirely. Another thing you have to look at is quality. uh, Ikan Godegon is not the same Ikan Godegon that probably was there some few years ago. Spurs were just far. They outsmart them, they outrun them, they did everything better than their midfield for at least the first 60 minutes of the game, where I think the damage was already done. I think by that time it was already 3-0. So with all due respect to Rico Lewis, young talent with this, but it's not just that quality that you want to see in midfield with Ike Codigan and what do you call it? And the sports guys just smell blood yesterday and said, no, you won't beat us with this set of guys in midfield today. So, like I said, personnel might be Kevin De Bruyne is not getting younger again. That year, I think that season they won the Champions League was the last time. Last season it was just on and off. Even this, it looks very even. Me looking at his face with that hairstyle, it looks so old. It doesn't really have to. It doesn't seem to have that physicality again to cope with what do you call it, the demand of the
Premier
Premier
League.
League.
Yeah.
And again, so I think there is a personal issue there. There is a tactical team. Probably teams have probably learned how to play City much better than it was in some years ago. And there is a fatigue thing. So I think it's a couple of things. And some people, they said one of the reasons why even Pep Guardiola signed an extension was like, okay, this team is looking probably, and again, probably the core guys in that team, the Kevin De Bruyne of this world, some of those guys are looking a bit old. They are now getting old. Probably there needs to be a bit of fresh blood. But some people say the reason why he even extended that contract is that even if he's going to leave, he doesn't want to leave City in a poor state. So I think this is the best time to get at them. They are not 100. Like I said, I think that Arsenal game did something to them. But unfortunately, Arsenal were not able to capitalize on whatever they have done to City.
Oh gosh, what's happening to City? What's happening to City?
What's happening to City right now? I think we have to start from the coach. I think the players could sense a lot of indecision on the part of Guardiola on whether he wanted to stay or not. I remember Rodri saying that when he chose to sign for City, he signed even though he understood that Pep would only stay for 1 or 2 more seasons. And sometimes when your math teacher or your class teacher is not coming to class, when you hear that you have free period or that your teacher that you know never misses any class, when you start to hear that he will not come that day, you can assure me, at least I know
Lose some
that
motivation.
your concentration level drops. So I think a lot of personal issues happening behind the scene that we are not aware of has filtered into the ears of the players. It's made them
Kaki,
drop.
a lot of the 117 charges, Devos below 117 charges is taking a toll on
Yes.
Guardiola because
Yes,
Devos only love the
What
117 charges.
one
exactly.
one five is one
Devos
one five
only love the
allowing it?
117 charges.
Is the 115 that will
Okay,
make
it's 115.
So
that will take Arsenal's trophy to 15?
so I think that is a factor. The other factor obviously is the issue of age. and ability to cope with the pace of Premier League. You get to a certain age, playing in the Premier League, it takes its toll on you. No matter how cerebral you are, your
Yeah,
body just won't do what your mind is telling it to do. And that is why Sir Alex Ferguson, to me, still remains the greatest coach in the history of the EPL. Simply because that Manchester United squad looked different every 3 years. It always looked different every 3 years. Worst case, 4 years. It's almost as if he knows the new bloods come in so quickly. So I personally think age is getting to them. And the truth is, it is hard when a player is hungry. It is easy to pass your message. When that player is full, that message becomes hard to understand. A lot of these guys have experienced success to an extent that Guardiola pushing them at some point they will just push back a little bit.
You
I'm not saying that's
understand?
what's happening now,
Exactly.
but that's what I think is happening. That the message is not connecting again. It reminds me of 2004 Chelsea. Lampard has not won anything. Terry has not won anything. And there was nothing Jose Mourinho wanted to tell that team that they would not buy into. And as immediately that team started winning, these same people were the ones that did not play to the level that made them sack Jose Mourinho. The same people that he got them to only concede 9 goals or 15
15
goals in an
goals.
entire APL campaign.
15
So
goals.
I think age, I think the off-field issues regarding the court cases or the charges, and I think the fact that those players are not self-motivated anymore, such that Guardiola's message is not resonating with them.
Yeah, yeah. You guys did a wonderful job. I don't think there's anything else that I can add to that. Of course, United, different coach, different day, same BS. That's the same way it is for United right now. Um, and definitely we're not going to dabble into that. They played a 1-1 draw against Ipswich for crying out loud. Chelsea personally for me are the best in the Premier League in terms of play, in terms of quality, in terms of squad depth. They defeated Leicester City 2-1 away from home. Arsenal played a 3-0 win against Forest.
Mhm.
It's great game, and that's like I said before you joined the show, Kachi. That's the way Arsenal is supposed to play going forward with a striker, and they need a striker. Gabriel Jesus is not a striker. He does not understand the rule of a striker. I don't understand what that boy is on the field of play. He cannot play as a left forward. He cannot play as a right forward. He cannot play as a striker. He's just all over the place like a number 10, and he cannot play as a number 10. But the diamond, a rough diamond, and I think I'm more to eye players. I know how to eye players, but this boy has mesmerized me the few times I've seen him play.
Mm.
And I don't want to stretch it, and I'm not going to start calling guys that I've seen in the past. But this guy is good enough to become another Bukayo Saka for Arsenal. At least on an
Because
Arsenal,
is it? No, no,
on an
but
Arsenal,
please,
on an Arsenal level.
wait, Debo. If
Yes,
all this
yes,
hype, wait now, wait.
yeah.
If all this hype is now to say a Bukayo Saka, that means there is no hype there. Or with all due
Yes,
respect, Bukayo Saka is good.
Bukayo Saka is the biggest star for Arsenal, and
Now,
is one. Hold on, is one of their own. Is an Arsenal true and true,
Mhm.
born bred, straight edge. You might call you. I'm pretty sure you can't call the best five top right wingers or right forward in the world, and you will not mention Bukayo as part of them, right? On a national level, I'm not talking about on a global scale. I don't want to say this boy is the new Martin Odegaard or is the new can't football is so bad now. I can't even think of good players because when Vinicius Junior is the best player in the world, I don't know so many good players, and Rodri will be the Ballon d'Or. He will be on the podium. I can imagine maybe if Sergio Busquets was playing in this era, Busquets will have like 4 Ballon d'Ors. That's what it means. Anyways, I'm dabbling into that, but this boy is has shown he could be the next Bukayo Saka in terms of Arsenal. That's the best superstar Arsenal have seen, or the best academic graduate Arsenal has been seen in the last maybe 5, maybe 10 years, maybe 5, maybe 10 years. So this boy is wonderful. The little that I've seen of him, and this is little. Tops that I've seen him play maybe 4 or 5 times. But the confidence he oozes, the control, the play, and the brain he carries on his shoulder is top notch for a 17-year-old girl, for a 17-year-old kid, boy, whatever you want to call him. And this other guy is nobody than Ethan Nwaneri. And yeah, I think I asked Olawale, maybe Olawale, maybe you catch it. I don't know which one of you guys I asked them, like, because you be slow on it. I was telling my wife about the weekend. I said if Aserega was the coach of Arsenal, Ethan Nwaneri would have racked at least 20 games under his
Yeah,
belt.
yeah, without a doubt.
At least
I
20
agree.
games.
I agree.
He will have racked 20 games. And I know Ateta is trying to protect him and he's trying to be careful at the same time. But I don't know how much you guys have seen of this boy. Do you think this guy can, if he's level headed? Because he needs to be level headed like Bukayo Saka. That's the best thing about Bukayo. Bukayo is not, Bukayo is effective and very level headed. He's not the biggest, he does not behave like a superstar. It does not. It
Hmm.
does not. When you see guy being, Arsenal is one of the top three clubs in England. And if a boy is their biggest star, there should be an arrogance or pride that should be associated with him, with that kind of person, right?
Hmm.
But we don't see that with Bukayo. Do you think this guy can be as good for Arsenal as Bukayo is? Or now I'm going to start. Okay,
Okay.
I'll start with you, Kachi. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's hard to dispute potential. You never, but you have to qualify it. So, do I think he can? Potentially, yes, he can. We've seen it happen severally, not only with Arsenal. We've seen it with City, with Phil Foden. Even the early days of Kelechi Iheanacho at City, we thought he was going to be the next biggest thing in English football.
Until Pep
Uh,
came.
until Pep Guardiola came and his famous love in developing black men. I don't think Pep. Let me put it this way: I don't think Pep has a thing for black people. I just think he doesn't know it, but he does not like to put in the work to help any black person get better. I think that for me is his biggest issue. But
That's a big indictment.
we can pack that and unpack it in another show. So potentially Ethan definitely has the criteria. It looks like he has his head really screwed on tight, and I want to ascribe that to him having some Nigerian roots in him. Pretty much every other Nigerian player that has English allegiances or whatever. Ademola Lookman is a clear example. Bassi is another clear example.
Ado
Sometimes
Abioyo.
you
Tosin
know
Ado Abioyo.
so it's going to go beyond on field. He needs to have stability off field. That he needs to know that he has a team that loves and supports him in spite of whatever will go on, whether he's playing week in week out. A team that will shield him, and I think that's what Bukayo Saka is enjoying. Grounded because of his upbringing. Ademola Lookman, grounded. I mean, how many of these kids nowadays will take their grassroots coach to a FIFA or a Ballon d'Or award show? It tells you the kind of personality he has. So for me, it will go beyond footballing abilities to now asking question about the team he has around him. We've seen people that have bigger talents not make it there. I'm looking at Bent now, right now. Your famous. I don't want to go down that road because we can mention several of them, several players who started so brightly but didn't have their heads screwed on tight, and off-field issues affected their on-field abilities. Potentially, yes, he has it, but it will have to do more about regarding the team he has around him that will help push him and his own personal desire to want to get better. If he's lacking all that, you can have all the potential you want in this world. It will not yield the results you want.
All right. Olawale.
Well, unfortunately, I've not seen much of him, but I've read a lot about his potentials, what he's going to become. Uh, I, well, Kaichi has said it. Sometimes uh, to succeed as a player, apart from some obvious superstars, a lot of things just have to work your way. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, you have to be talented. You just have to be at the right place at the right time. A very good environment, not a toxic one. It seems to be in the right place now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Mm-hmm.
see how again, believe your coach believe works a lot. We've seen some players that I was watching a clip of when was it Ari Reknap
Yeah, yeah. Good
when he
for
was
Frank
West Ham
Lampard.
coach and they were asking him questions about Frank Lampard. You got to see that press conference as like the way he was defending him. Of course, I think they are related by
Yeah,
blood somehow,
it's his
but
uncle.
the way he was defending him as a youngster, you won't ask for more than that from your coach. So at times you just need again you need a coach that probably believe or trust you, that believe in your talent for you to succeed. No, don't let us forget that Thierry Henry was almost playing as a right back in Juventus before what do you call it? Before
Arsene.
Arsene
That was
Wenger.
taking over.
If he has probably spent one more season in Juventus, probably what we are saying today about Thierry, we won't probably be saying it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just the thin line between sometimes being a successful
Successful
footballer
player.
and just being a player that is just there. So I wish him the best of luck, but I've not probably seen much of him. But I've read a lot. I've seen a lot on Twitter where people are saying, "Wow, this guy is great. This guy is that."
Yeah,
But
it's
again,
good.
because he has that Nigerian name, I can't just wait for him to be of a big success in
Yeah.
Yeah,
football.
yeah. You should, Olale, I recommend you should watch the kid. Is an aggressive attacking footballer,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually feel if he can pattern his game and learn so much from Martin Odegaard, it will be a general success. A general success. Um, and I'm sorry, I'd have to apologize to Mikel Arteta and Mikel Merino when he first came in, first couple of games. That guy gives me an attack. I don't know how
But I told you that time now.
the backs boys they give you an attack. They are so cerebral. They will be doing things. You be like, please don't do this. Please make it more simple. But they do it with sleek, with poise, with
But if
grace.
I told you this now. Unfortunately, he came in with that injury, and that's based on Basilios Gabriel. I don't know some teammates. How will you just go and injure somebody in training? No, no, no.
In training.
See, the last thing I want to hear is that somebody's
Get
Uh,
injured
sustained
in
big
training.
injury in training. So
yeah.
that's why I said I can't judge Arsenal right now because I knew that guy is going to bring that balance into that midfield, especially
He
on the
did.
left
Oh
side.
my god. Oh
You
my
know how
god.
Spanish footballers play, like
Yeah.
you just rightly
Yeah.
said. Unfortunately, his injury happened. Odegaard injury happened.
Apple. Yeah.
Multiple records in games.
Yeah. Arsenal just needs a striker.
Yeah.
I don't even know for real. But it's good though because you have Jorginho, you have Declan Rice, you have Thomas Partey. They can all interchange.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, if everybody is fit, that Mikel Merino will be the first name on the sheet after Martin Odegaard and the top and the front three. So Partey, Jorginho, and Declan Rice can keep fight. They can fight.
They can fight for the remaining
They can
slots.
fight for the remaining slot. Anyways, Aston Villa played a 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace. Eddie Nketiah still looking for his first goal for Crystal Palace, and of course, was walloped Fulham away from home 4-1, and of course, Spurs defeated City, ending their 52 games unbeaten at home
Mm-hmm.
by defeating them 4-0. Another 4-0. Ice Cold Palmer. Uncle Kachi, any last one before we go on the show tonight?
Yeah, two last words. I wanted to commiserate with Steve Cooper, who has officially been relieved of his job as coach of Leicester City. We wish him the very best. We knew it was going to happen, but we wish him the best nonetheless. And lastly, it is official now that Kawhi Leonard is not eligible to win any award in this NBA season as he has officially missed 18 games. It appears this man is just collecting his pension. We need to have a debate. Olawale and us, give us a segment next week. Who is a bigger bust? Kawhi Leonard or my very good friend from the
Ben
beginning?
Simmons. Ben
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
Person what is it Chinese scam? Anyway, see we see you again next week. My name is Siladeja Adebo, and this is Oracle Kachi, and this is New Systems